I am the Humble Seer.
Hello and welcome to the Humble Seer. So we're going to do a reading on Tyre Nichols. But before we get into the card reading portion of the video, I want to just talk a little bit about the incident for those that may not be familiar or uh, are familiar but just don't know all the ins and outs of what happened. So on January 7th of 2023, there were five police officers that stopped and pulled Nichols over on suspicion of reckless driving. And this occurred in Memphis, Tennessee, January 7th of 2023, around 8:20 in the evening. So Tyre Nichols, he was 29-year-old black man, was pulled over and he was subsequently brutally beaten. And the beating on January 7th landed him in the hospital, and he died 3 days later of his injuries. The police officers were charged with second-degree murder on January 26th, or around about that time. They were charged with second-degree murder. And so I'm going to I'm going to pull cards on, of course, Tyre Nichols. I will pull cards on the incident, and I will also pull cards on the police officers, and we'll get a little more understanding around what happened, more than what we're hearing in the news. I'm going to talk about what I see. So let's move on over to the card reading portion of the video. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull some cards. Let's first pull a card on Tyre on the day of the incident, the day of the beating, and let's see what wants to come out. Just terrified, horrified, and just fearful is what I get, and that's obvious. I mean, and he recognizes a couple of these officers, and fear really sets in for him. He knows that he's in trouble as it relates to two of the officers. But let's go ahead and get a card. Yeah, it's pain, and a lot of pain, a lot of cracking, and just, it's horrible. Okay, so this card is telling us about Tyre Nichols and the incident. Okay, so we have the happy squirrel. And the happy squirrel is about, I'm going to read to you what the happy squirrel, what the definition of the happy squirrel is in this deck. And the happy squirrel is vague and mysterious, secretly scurrying to and fro, up and down the world tree. What has he unearthed? Is this an acorn that needs planting to bring something to fruition, or a tantalizing treat to be enjoyed today? Cleverly stored away, exactly what he needs to enjoy his moment in the sun. Wow. I feel that I can just hear it was all meant to be this way. This is how it was meant to be. And I can hear I've struggled to survive. I struggled to stay alive. I struggled. I fought. And this card, what I get from this is what I'm speaking about now, which is the familiarity with the police officers. Because this cannot possibly be how someone who is being brutally beaten to death would feel. But don't let the title of the card fool you. So let's read that again. Happy Squirrel is vague and mysterious. And they're secretly scurrying to and fro, up and down the world tree. What has he unearthed? And I feel like the unearthed part also has to do with things that Tyre Nichols knew about his murderers, his killers. It's like things will be unearthed about them in this entire situation, is what I get from that. Can we get another card? Anything else? Okay, there's nothing else to say. Just tell it like it is what I'm getting. I knew two of them. I knew two of them. Things will be unearthed. And I will get justice, Okay, let's look at each of the accused. Let's walk through each of the police officers and just pull a card on them. So the first one is Tatterus Bean. So let's pull a card on him. This is one of the 5 police officers that was involved in this. Okay. So that is the 8 of Wands. And the 8 of Wands is about a lot of communication. It's messages, it's emails, it's letters. So what I'm getting here is that, check his emails, check his private text messages, because there is a wealth of information as it relates to this crime, and actually other crimes. This is just the one that they were caught, and that ended in the way that it ended. It's almost like they're out there with, committing hits, is what I'm getting. I don't know, but anyway, so he's representative of the 8 of Wands. So yeah, it's like, look at what he was communicating before and after, because what he was doing, it wasn't smart. All right, let's get one now on Emmett Martin the Third. Let's pull a card on Emmett Martin the Third. Another one of the police officers who was not just accused, but okay. So we have 2 of Pentacles. And we know that 2 of Pentacles is about financial difficulty. It's about financial difficulty. It's trouble. It's trouble in the financial world. And people do things and carry out things for money. They carry things out for money. They do things, to make money. And so for him, financial difficulty steps in, and it becomes attractive to do this hit, to be a part of this killing. Because that is what I see, hands down. I don't care what anybody says. And, there are 2 police officers. It is around a female. It is around a woman. Okay, but that is representative of Emmett Martin. It's money, and he has money issues, and this is helping with that. Okay, let's move on to Demetrius Haley, one of the 5 police officers that brutally beat Tyre Nichols to death. What does, as it relates to this beating, this brutal beating, okay. So we have 9 of Pentacles. success, achievement. Again, it's centering around money. It's centering around money because the Nine of Pentacles comes in and it's, success, achievement, security. You do this, you get that. You do these things. It's like, it's not just the Tyre Nichols beating. It's just what they do, they make money doing it. Like shaking down people and all of them. Shaking down people, going and collecting money and, which puts an end to that Two of Pentacles for this individual. Right? So right now we have, this is Tadaris Bean, Emmett Martin III, and Demetrius Haley. And these people, when I see money and I see communication, it's becoming clear. And this is a side note to the Tyre Nichols. These officers, if you want to even call them that, these police officers, because they put real police officers to shame, because there's some really great police officers out there. This is not a dig on officers in general. This is about 5 individuals who chose to get money to supplement it, who chose to get money, shaking down people, robbing people, beating people. They were notorious. And so I feel if we go back to Tyre, I feel like this is Tyre saying, unearthing and uncovering all of the criminality. It's fascinating. Okay, so, this is money. It's about money. It's about a business. But this is not unusual. There's pockets of this type of behavior in, police departments throughout the country, actually throughout the world. It's not just a United States thing or a Memphis, Tennessee thing. No, there's some bad hombres. There's some bad police officers in every bunch, okay? And these came together and they said, we're going to run a criminal enterprise. We're going to make money. But they made enemies along the way. They made enemies because they thought they could just do this. It's like riding shotguns. They just thought they could just enter a world that has been established for forever, hundreds of years. A business of profiteering off of the backs of others. I mean, that's been going on for as long as, as far back as you can go. People have been strong-arming people and taking from them. Okay, you're in my community. You have to, you want to open up shop in my community. We're going to shake you down for X amount of dollars. But these guys thought that they could come in and kind of take some of that, which was already established. But it's like, no. And so this card comes in. Tyre Nichols comes in and says, this is what's been happening behind the scenes. Okay. All right, let's move on to Desmond Mills Jr. And let's get a card on him. This is another of the police officers. One of the 5. Okay. This is Desmond Mills Jr. Okay. Now we're moving into the Cups world, and he has the 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups is about the past coming back, fading away, vanishing. And I feel like out of all of the officers, he may have the most, because it's cups, it's emotions. He may have more of an empathetic, although he, didn't, because he involved himself in all of this. but he would be the one that would crack easily. He would be the one with the more emotional side, irrespective of what he even did during the crime. Because when people get together, it's a frenzy. It builds and builds. And so, when you're with people, maybe you don't want to do something, but when you get with others, they egg you on. They might belittle you and say, oh, you're a scaredy cat, things like that, to the point where you have to prove something. Okay, let's move on to the next and the last, and that is Justin Smith. Okay. He could be the youngest of the 5, but all right, let's see what the story is on Justin. Let's get that card. Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords is about ruin. The true definition of the Ten of Swords is ruin, the end, emptiness, destruction, treachery. Just an awful in his mind. His mind was diseased, but all of their minds were diseased. But he comes in as the Ten of Swords, just a bad person with bad thoughts. But you see how they're throwing up the peace sign, like, I give up. But I made money just like everybody else. We all made money shaking down the people in Memphis, Tennessee. We all made money. And if you go back far enough in our history, you'll see that we were small time. But when we came together, we thought we were big time. But now we have a problem after a problem after a problem after a problem. Let's just get one more card. Let's see what else. Let's get a card on the overall of the situation, the overall of everything that we've talked about here. Okay, that makes perfect sense. The overall for all of this, the beating death of Tyre Nichols, the hits, the shaking down of the community, it's the moon. And it represents everything that has gone down in this situation. And we already know that the moon is about bad energy. The moon is danger. It's deception. It's false friends, but it's bad energy, it's danger, it's deception. And all of this was dangerous. All of this was deception. All of this was lies, false friends, because they are not friends. And we will see that. But the moon comes in over all of this. This is the overall for all of this goings on. Because we have the Ten of Swords, and then we talk about the money. And that is a mental state they're all in. Really. So I'm going to leave it there. It's a tragic story, but I'm glad I was able to shine some light on it. Thank you so much for stopping by the Humble Seer. Please do consider liking, sharing, subscribing, leave a comment below. And if you'd like to buy me a coffee, that is in the description box below. Until next time, you all take good care, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.